As soon as someone spots something, please stop and let people know. If it's a chew, what we're gonna do is stop and see if there are other chews in the vicinity, like in our view shed. So we're gonna.
What's a chew?
So what is a chew?
Yeah.
So like when a beaver comes and chews on a tree. Yeah.
Okay.
So you might see like little chew marks. You might see like a downed tree. They're here.
We are looking at the health of the river, looking at beavers. For the first time, we are doing this binationally. We have a say in Mexico when it comes to river restoration. Mejor castor que tractor. It's better a beaver than a tractor. Why do I need to be doing restoration when a beaver can do it better than we do? And they're free, and they propagate, and they're cute. How can we work with beavers for restoring watersheds, restoring rivers in the Sonora Desert? The San Pedro River is such an interesting system. It starts in the region of Cananea, Sonora, and Cananea is a mining town, and it flows north. It crosses the border somewhere south of Sierra Vista, and it joins the Gila River in Arizona. There are some stretches where you have still perennial flow. It's a little bit on a sad condition because the last 10, 15 years, it hasn't flowed that often, except when it's raining. And I work a lot with river restoration and river conditions and the health of the watershed. And beavers do a lot of good for that.
I called this number 4.
More moderate? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so these are fresh beaver chew chips. We just found the beaver chew down there, some fresh chips. And we're gonna send these to Cochise College. We're working with Steve Markley, biology professor over there, doing some DNA sampling off these chips to better understand the population of beavers out here.
This is both a labor of love and of necessity, a work that has gone on ever since the first beaver discovered his purpose on Earth, to cut down a tree, strip the branches, and build a dam.
Beavers are misunderstood. You know, when they're creating their dams, they're cutting down trees, and you know, we all love trees and hate to see a nice riparian tree get cut down. Like in the short term, it may look like, okay, they're degrading this environment, but in the long term, you're gonna see really nice improvements in that river habitat because those dams will slow down that water, will wet more of the floodplain. You're gonna see more cottonwoods and willows pop up, more groundwater resources, which I think everyone can appreciate in Arizona. I'm not aware of any real beaver-based programs in a meaningful way that are happening in the state.
There used to be beavers in the San Pedro. At some point, it was called the Beaver River. Then with the extinction of beavers, now we're seeing the river as it is right now. Thanks to the cows, we have the river how it looks. Cows kind of erode the soil, kind of change the vegetation cover of that geography. What's going on with beavers in the San Pedro?
One beaver dam was found clogging up an agricultural canal near the Colorado River. Others were causing problems in a livestock reservoir, while still others caused problems in a sewage treatment plant near Phoenix. The beaver were captured in humane traps, examined, and approved for relocation by veterinarians. They implanted beaver with radio transmitters, then transported and released them into the San Pedro River. The first beaver was released on the 3rd of March, 1999.
By 2006, they made it into Mexico. So they migrated south From Arizona, they migrated south into Sonora on the San Pedro. In Mexico, we didn't reintroduce beavers. The beavers came to Sonora from Arizona. That was very interesting. In around that time, 2006, somebody counted up to 140 beavers. And then suddenly, that peak went down. 2017, 2018, BLM stopped monitoring beavers. Nobody else was monitoring beavers. And then some of us started wondering, well, what's going on with those beavers? And nobody kind of knew what was going on with the beavers, except for a couple of individuals in the Sierra Vista region. And that was Mike Foster.
My first love was just hiking along the river. And the beaver weren't even here. They let them go in about 1999, 16 beaver. I began seeing all kinds of evidence of beaver here, which was really cool. So I was hired at the Sierra Vista Public Schools back in 1984, and I was the audio-visual technician. I loved photography, but then when we got video cameras, all of a sudden there was movement. You could almost feel the breeze. You could almost smell the air. So video is just so much more real to me. I'm a dyslexic person, so visual things mean a whole lot to me. It shouldn't be that hard to get video of beaver because they have dams and they live at the dams. But their habits are that they don't come out in the daylight, at least in this part of the country. And so I would have to get there about dusk. That's when they come out. I became friends of the biologist at the Bureau of Land Management. I would tell her the kind of things that I had seen while I was out, and then she would write them down. And so that eventually evolved into a thing where I would tell her the dams and we would record them and then come up with an estimate on the number of beaver along the river. And then the numbers started changing. You'd see fewer dams. I think the most likely thing is that mountain lion numbers increased, but it could also be humans hunting them. Some humans just don't like beaver and they blame them for all kinds of things that go wrong. Or there could be some disease. We really don't know, but one of the things I've been doing is running around the United States, trying to find areas where they have beaver that they don't want. Maybe we could go up and get some beaver and bring them back and release them here. And that's a big involved process, but hopefully we can do that. It used to be just me and one guy out there doing the 45 miles of the San Pedro River National Conservation Area. And then a watershed management group out of Tucson became aware of it and approached me. And they said, could we become involved? And it was kind of like the Army coming over the hill. This whole interest in beaver has really snowballed in the public. Now there are books being written about it, and there are other beaver organizations around the country. So, beavers are the cool thing nowadays.
We had an event here at the Living Lab, Beavers and Brews, Castoreando con Chelas, so it was a bilingual event, and we had some of our Mexico partners come up. We really wanted to get the word out about, okay, there are beavers, we saw fresh evidence, we counted them on either side of the border, there's definitely a population there.
I would like to toast to bringing these beavers back to be keystone species again in the Santa Cruz and San Pedro watersheds, to help us recharge our aquifer, restore our wetlands, release the beavers.
So when we work with conservation, yes, it's for nature, it's for the species that we work with, like beavers, but that brings so much well-being to society as well. To have a river flowing, the joy, that's also part of our work, because we need it. We need nature. We benefit so much when we have a healthy watershed.